And just like that, the barbell overhead press has made a return. 168 pounds for a top end set of 5, followed by 4 sets of 5 with 151 pounds respectively. A lot of volume with the overhead press. This has significant room for improvement. I can honestly say that I'm not too proud of my overhead press because I can't do any rep work over 200 pounds with any degree of confidence, and that, in my opinion, needs to change. Although the presses were strict, and I was pleased with how strict I was able to keep them. Went from there into some mid-back work. 5 sets of 20 across with 65 pounds on the dumbbell rows. To be honest, this is deceptively tough on the grip strength. I don't know if it's simply because the diameter of the handle on these particular dumbbells is that much thicker or just the high rep range itself. By set 5, my grip was toasted. Then moved into some rope face pulls. I don't often incorporate these, but on the odd occasion, they're really good for developing strength through the rotator cuff, and I like to throw them in there, and they're also good for developing the upper back. A little bit lower intensity secondary exercise, but sometimes those are good to mix in. Then I went into a 5 rep max on the skull crusher. Decided to start really prioritizing calculated numbers on my barbell tricep work for really no reason other than pure interest to see how I'm able to progress those weights over time, because I think it would be pretty freaking cool if I could squeeze out a 2-plate skull crusher, 245s on each side of the easy bar, for no real reason other than it's a feat of strength that I think would look pretty neat. But managed to work with 5 reps with 123 pounds. The elbows definitely felt it, but the back offsets at 111 pounds were much easier on the elbows. And then I went into some really high rep work on the V-bar press downs. 2 sets of 30 reps. Usually I wouldn't work this weight for 30 reps across, but normally if I was going to incorporate this, I would likely be doing, 4 or 5 sets. In this one I was doing 2, so I just completely burnt the triceps out, which was actually a great feeling going from such low reps heavy weight with the skull crusher and transitioning into such an extreme considering the 30 rep range, right? That's a pretty significant difference between the 2 rep ranges, and I definitely was feeling it, and my triceps felt it for a couple of days after this workout was complete. And for leg day, we put the SSB Good Morning as a primary lift. I've never done this before. SSB work is usually done as a secondary exercise. I have done it relatively heavy, but never as the main measurable lower body lift. Started off in the 10 rep range because it's been a minute since I've actually done SSB Good Mornings, 175 for a set of 10, and then followed that up with 160 pounds for 2 sets of 10. And I will confirm that my hamstrings were absolutely trashed, like totally trashed by the end of all of this volume. Nevertheless, got all the reps in, managed to keep consistent form across what I consider to be a little bit excessive volume for a primary lift. And then from here, actually, I went into a belt squat, which is kind of weird to put a squat as a secondary exercise. But, I like to try new things, and I figure the belt squat is still good for developing muscle and strength, but it's not so intense that it wouldn't be beneficial to throw in as a secondary exercise. So it's kind of an experiment, if you will. 280 for 3 sets of 10 across, really working on range of motion, focusing on keeping that knee positioning in alignment over the toes and not using the handles for any leverage whatsoever, simply just keeping my balance throughout the entire set. And then finished off with some glute ham raises. So the posterior chain got absolutely hammered, considering high rep good mornings with heavy weight, followed by heavy squats for high reps, followed by pure posterior chain work with the strict glute ham raise. And yeah, the DOMS was strong after this workout. It was very, very strong. I'm pretty sure I was sore for like 6 days after this session, actually. So all in all, good lower body workout. Very basic, very simple, but effective. Last week we were under the traditional barbell bench. Today we're back under the neutral grip angled Swiss bar. time to move some weight. And coming in hot with a 261-pound top end set on the neutral grip angled Swiss bar bench press, in which I was supposed to hit 5 reps, and I did not. Watch me get pinned, KO'd, ego crushed, and there goes 4. I believe that was rep 4. I wasn't really paying attention. And we're up and we're down and we're done. And on to 231 pounds. Managed to clear all my back offsets for 5 reps per set, which was good. Then transitioned into the pendulum rows, really working on that explosive power off of the floor, which is, can't even articulate my thoughts, which is going to carry over to my deadlifts, heavy pulls off the floor. So these felt good. Form was strict, and crazy to consider that I'm basically pulling myself off the ground for multiple repetitions with strict form. That's kind of cool to think about. Then into a wide grip pull down, just getting in some volume work. This is still kind of light, but we progressed it forward just a little bit. Can't confuse slow progress with no progress. Then we got the earthquake bar rocking here. We're getting some weight on the bar, 134 pounds. Cleared 3 of the sets for 10 reps, but then the 4th set, I just barely managed to squeeze out the bottom end 8. But the triceps were absolutely toasted by this point in the workout, especially considering the reality that I did push the Swiss bar to failure, and they are very much fatiguing presses on the triceps compared to a traditional straight bar press. Bar's wobbly, but I'm confident I'm going to run this bad boy through to 300. I really have that confidence right now. Maybe not for more than 2 reps, or even more than 1 set at that rate. But regardless, I'm feeling really confident with the linear progressions on this bar. And as I become more stable with the positioning and the movement, my confidence is growing, which is good. Burned out the biceps with some direct arm work on the close grip easy bar curl. 2 sets of 8 to 10 with 73 pounds. 10 reps on the first set, 8 reps on the second set, respectively. Arms are looking like they're growing. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. So, all in all, training is progressive. As you can see, the whole week is just moving along steady, managing those micro progressions in load, those manageable progressions in volume. Little by little, friends, a little becomes a lot. Patience is the name of the game when it comes to being under the bar and getting strong. So you're going to see some form breakdown here. Although the first couple of reps were clean, confident, I kept it together. Come the last couple reps, things kind of fell apart, and it turned into quite a grind. But this was more of a mental barrier I had to get through, because for some reason, this weight for this many reps just psychs me the out. And I managed to get through it. So this was a big win for me mentally under the bar. And I'll take it, even with some cringy form, even with some inevitable form breakdown. The victory, it tasted sweet. And that's how you get through. Then transitioned into a top end set of deadlifts, 452.5 for a set of 5. We'll take it. A little bit of backgrounding on the final rep. It is what it is. Pulls felt clean. I felt confident on the bar the whole time. At no point did I think I was going to miss a set. There was quite a bit of fatigue that compounded throughout this workout, though, I will tell you that, because there were also 2 back offsets on the squat as well, which were both 340 and 357.5 pounds respectively. So the lower back was toasty. Didn't even film the reverse hyper work. Boom. Gotcha. So just finished off lower body intensity day. Hit a 1 pound PR relative to a 5 rep max on the squat, and a 2 pound PR relative to a 5 rep max on the deadlift. The top rep on both of those sets was a psychological grinder. That shit played with my head. I've missed attempts on both of those already, and my head got the best of me both times. The 5th rep, I psyched myself out and bailed. Now, what's interesting is that same game started to push my buttons under rep 4 on the squat this morning. On rep 4, I could already feel myself talking myself out of rep 5. I was like, maybe you don't have this today. I hate that. I hate that stuff, because next thing you know, you're out of position, your form starts to break down, you lose that ability to just drive through the rep that actually counts, because if it's a 4-rep set, it's nowhere near close to the output that you're looking for. So fortunately, I managed to push through. Yes, there was some obvious form breakdown on both of those, but the victory was not so much in the weight moved in the form itself, but the fact that I did not quit. And of course, the form was not horrific. It wasn't so cringy that I thought I was going to die. Obviously, I would have bailed if it fell apart that much, but I definitely got out of position on both the squat and deadlift on rep 5, but I kept it clean as possible, and I pulled through, got the reps. Now I don't feel so weak.